Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is late, you guys. I have been filming one video after another today. It is late. It is currently, let's see, 8:22 p.m. And it's cold out here tonight. It's not super cold, but it's cold. But I have on my heated vest, and then I have this North Face coat that I've worn like one or two other times. I haven't really worn it a whole lot this winter yet. So I thought tonight we're gonna bring out the North Face coat because it's a little warm and cozy and all that kind of stuff. And then I thought I would light some candles. My lighter works. It's been sitting out here in the cold, so I'm sure. Oh, it will light. Okay, so I'm gonna light this Lake Erie candle, and then I'm gonna light this 'Tis the Season before the season is over. Oh, come on now. Sometimes, you know, if you like put it over the candle that's lit already, it'll light for you. But yeah, I've been like super busy today. I slept until like 1:30 because I stayed up way too late last night. I stayed up, okay, so last night, you guys, I'm like obsessed with Vanderpump Rules. It's ridiculous. So last night, I was like sitting around. I can't remember what I was doing. Alex was watching. Oh, he was finishing a show that he was watching on Peacock. It was like some gay series. It was with the guy that's like the main star in Bridgerton. He said it was really good. And the show starts with an F. I can't remember what it was, but it talked about like gay rights and like the AIDS crisis, and it was basically this love story. Do you see like all of like that's how cold it is. Let's give it my thumbnail. It looked pretty good. I mean, I didn't see much of it. I'm thinking about maybe watching it. But I'm like so into reality TV right now that to even watch like a regular show just seems kind of so bizarre for me. So anyway, he was finishing up in the living room, and then when he got done, I like sat down and was like eating some stuff, and so I started watching. I was like looking at what shows I had to watch and stuff like that, and I was really pretty caught up, except for 90 Day Fiancé and Life After Lockup. And I wasn't in the mood to watch them last night. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch these tonight. I'm going to watch Vanderpump Rules. Okay, so I sat in that chair last night from like 8 or 9. I don't even remember what time. From like 8 or 9. I sat in that chair until 7:30 this morning. Like, the upstairs lights went on in the bedroom, and I was like, oh my god, Alex. I thought it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't looked at the clock in like 2 hours. Alex was getting ready to go to work. I could see him upstairs, so you can see in the windows, you know, and I like the reflection. And I said, are you getting up and going ready to go to bed? And I like took my reading glasses off because I used my reading glasses. Please tell me I brought my reading glasses out here. Oh, darn it, I didn't. But because I was going to read some comments and respond to some comments, but oh well. So I took my reading glasses off, and I was kind of like having a hard time seeing the clock, like on the DVR thing. And I saw that it said like 7:31 or 7:34 or something like that. And I go, oh my god, it's so late. And I go, and I had like I don't know, like 3 or 4 minutes left of this episode. It was the final episode before the reunion of season 3. And so it's episode 18. So I had watched episode 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I watched 14 episodes last night. I don't even know how that's possible. Each episode's like once you fast forward through like what happened the week before. Let's go down. I can tell when it goes down to heat it back up, to push it back on high, and then it stays on high. The recap, once you like speed through the recap or skip through the recap, and then like the what do you call it, the intro or whatever, then it's like 40 minutes or something like that. So I don't know. I literally sat there and just binge watched one episode after another. The only 2 times I got up were to go to the bathroom and to get a Diet Coke. 2 times in all those hours, like almost like 12 hours. I can't believe I did it. It didn't seem like that long. I had such a good time watching the show last night. It was so fun. So I was so tired. When I went to sleep last night, I mean, I like fell out like right away. And when I got up this morning, or this afternoon, when I got up this afternoon, I was like, oh, I'll just, you know, wait till tomorrow or Saturday to film videos or whatever. And then I was like, no, I think I'm gonna, film videos today. So like made the bed, and I was like, I knew what videos I was gonna make because I had them all like scheduled for yesterday, and so I knew that I wanted to like make these videos, but it was like so late in the day. It was real dark and gloomy all day today too. It was like really, really gloomy. And so I like couldn't sit out here. It was like cold, it was windy, it was raining. And so I couldn't sit out here. So I made the bed, and I knew what video I was gonna make for my drama channel today. So I made that video. And then like I turned around and my back was hurting so bad from sitting on the bed. And so I like uploaded that, started rendering and uploading that video. And then I turned around and I did a video on my Peter Does Stuff channel of like the 100 shows that I watched this year. It was like 107 or something like that. I don't know how many. But, so and then some of them were like one season, some of them were like every season. So I went in there and I went over every show I watched and what I thought about them and stuff like that. That was actually a really fun video to make. It was like 43 minutes or something like that I made for my Peter Does Stuff channel. And then I turned around and I did a Peterisms video. I'm getting some interesting questions on my Peterisms channel. So I turned around and I made that video. And then I came downstairs and then I filmed what do you call it? Well, Alex was going out to dinner with some friends tonight, and I knew that. So I was like, okay, I have a little extra time. And so I filmed a review video, and then I did a reality TV video about 1,000 Pound Sisters. And then he texted me like, he was at dinner like an hour and 15 minutes. It was like a really short dinner tonight. I thought it would be long. And so he texted me that he was on his way home, and I was like, okay, and I still had to vlog. And so I was getting all this stuff up, and I was like, I can either vlog now and get my videos up late, or I can try to get up, because I wasn't going to sit in front of the computer, because people are so nice. You guys are like, there's a lot of you out there that are like, I don't really care where you make your videos, just, you know, whatever. But I know to some people, it's like annoying for me to like sit in front of the computer and be distracted. I totally get it. I don't know that I would want to watch somebody completely distracted in front of a computer either. So I'm doing my best to like work around that, if that makes sense. Because I know to some people, it's not fun to watch that. I get it, you know. I'm not, like that comment, like when people said that to me, like there were a lot of people that were real defensive of me, and I appreciate that, but that comment didn't piss me off. Like, I get it, you know, it's just, it's hard for me to get all these videos up in like a timely manner. I mean, it's 8 o'clock and I'm just now getting some of my videos up. So it's hard for me, and that's because it's my fault. It's because I start so late in the day, right? Like I didn't even really start filming. I mean, I got up at like 1:30 and I didn't even start filming until like 3, you know? So it's my damn fault. Like if I got up at 10, you know, all my videos would be done by 4 and I would be fine, you know? It's my own fault. Goal for 2024. So anyway, so I was like, Alex got home, and I had just taken Boo out, and he took Boo out. I said, I just took him out. And he goes, well, I'm going to take him out again, or something like that. So he took him out again. I had already fed Boo, and he was running around like a crazy person. He was so excited to see Alex, so they ran upstairs, and I was talking to Alex about some stuff, and then, what was I going to say? No, I can't remember what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Oh, so then he was sitting upstairs, and I was kind of talking to him while I was doing stuff on the computer. And I was like, I had 2 videos that were uploading and one on my phone. And I was like waiting for them to get done so I could post them. And it was like one at a time. I was making thumbnails. I was like, just get all your videos uploaded and then go vlog. Because then you'll be relaxed, you know? Then you can like just enjoy your time vlogging and whatever, right? Instead of sitting in front of the computer, because Alex was like, you can vlog inside, and I was like, I know, but I want to kind of sit outside tonight and just like be on my front porch, and you know, be on our front porch, I guess. And although he never spends any time out here, I mean, it's his front porch too, but he never spends any time out here. Be on the front porch and just, you know, have some coffee. This is actually my second cup of coffee today since 1:30. I poured this at like 2, my first cup. So I thought I was out of iced coffee, and I actually found this bottle, like in one of these drawers in our refrigerator, where I keep like the root beer and the cream sodas and stuff like that, the special bottles that I bought that I reviewed on my review channel, the ones that I get from that Sullivan's. I didn't even know, and then I was like looking in the refrigerator the other day, and I pulled like a root beer out, and I didn't even see this bottle in there. And so then I was looking, like, you can kind of see through, like, the door, you know, of the thing in the refrigerator. Not the refrigerator, but, like, when you open the door of the refrigerator, you can see through this drawer. And I was like, there's a bottle of coffee in there, like a plastic bottle of iced coffee. I was like, I totally forgot that that was in there. And I had bought it and put it in there with Caroline. I thought it was out. which is totally fine because I am like cool with drinking hot coffee right now. Like, in the summer I like iced coffee a lot. I still like hot coffee in the summer, but I was like, today I was kind of craving like iced coffee, so I pulled it out, and it's dark roast. I'm kind of like really into like the dark roast now. For a while I was like, I love the blonde. That's maybe more of a summer thing. But I don't know, there's also something about like the heat of summer and drinking like a really strong cup of coffee. If you're a coffee lover, you might know what I mean by that. There's something about like sitting in the heat of summer in like your shorts and just drinking like a really strong cup of coffee. I love that. So anyway, I can't wait till summer. I miss the sun and the warmth and sitting on my patio talking to my neighbors and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so yeah, so then he came home and I was talking to him and I was just like, I'm just gonna upload these videos and get these done. So I got them all done. And then I moved the pillows because I usually have 2 pillows over here with this one. Move those pillows over there. I finally took, did I tell you this last night? I finally took my Believe sign inside. It's like one thing a day that I'm doing until New Year's to get this porch and this house cleaned out of Christmas. I'm going to leave some of this stuff. I'm going to leave the pillows out here and probably this stuff, but take away this. I mean, what does it take? 2 seconds to take it down the basement? I don't know why I haven't done it yet. So anyway, but yeah, and so now I'm vlogging, and there's my vlog, because I don't really have anything else to share from them. I mean, you guys want to hear about 12 hours of Vanderpump Rules that I watched last night. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I mean, people get so tired of me talking about reality TV on this channel. It's like they're like, you have a whole channel for that. And I agree. You're right. I do. So I need to save it, because I keep on talking about reality TV here, but it's like I'm obsessed with it, you know? So Alex and Boo are upstairs. When he got home, I was like, what are you going to do? And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm still trying to upload these videos. And then I'm going to go vlog outside. And he's like, you can vlog inside. I go, no, I'm going to see him in the porch, like I just said. And he was like, okay. And I said, what are you going to do tonight? Because we don't have any shows to watch. We're caught up on all of our shows. Oh, no. Oh, no. We have Miami and Beverly Hills to watch from this week. Oh, so maybe we will watch that tonight. Because I said, what are you going to do tonight? He goes, I'm just totally relaxing, and I'm just going to roll through my phone. That's all I'm going to do. And I was like, okay. So, so maybe we'll watch that tonight. We'll see. If not, maybe tomorrow night or this weekend or something like that. But anyway. So yeah. It's been a nice day, though. I mean, I've been really, really busy. Filming videos and just kind of like straightening up the house and stuff like that. I didn't have any laundry to do today. I'm like caught up on all laundry and stuff, but it's just been a really nice day. It's kind of a weird week because I feel like Alex, I always refer to Alex as my husband, which he is, but like why wouldn't I just say Alex? You all know who Alex is by now, right? But like Alex went back to work. Mel went back to work. Tanya never stopped working. I mean, a lot of people that I know, like, have gone back to work, right? Caroline's working. Everybody that I know is working. But then I have a lot of people that I know that, like, their kids don't go back to school till next week. They're, like, just off. Like, it's still, like, the holiday for them and stuff. So it's kind of a weird week, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, you know, are just kind of, like, hanging out, going shopping, doing this, doing that. Like, when I talk to people, I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, we're doing this, and then the whole family's going to dinner tonight. And so I'm like, oh, that's fun. So, it's kind of a weird week. I don't really remember, like, when I was growing up, what we did for this week, the week after Christmas. I can remember as a kid, I just loved Christmas so much. It was, like, such a magical time of year for me. You know, I was such a lonely kid. I didn't have friends. I mean, I had a few here and there, but I didn't really have that many friends. And then, you know, just my parents' divorce and stuff. And, which, to be honest with you, like, my parents' divorce wasn't really that hard for me. What was more hard for me was that I was, like, the only one my age in the 70s who had parents that were divorced or going through a divorce. And the other thing was that everybody knew it. So it was kind of weird, you know, like... You know, like when you, okay, like you would never see this in a movie today, but like back then you would see movies of kids whose parents were going through a divorce and like they would kids would say to them at school, like, well, you don't have a dad. Like kids would say that to me at school because my parents were going through a divorce. When I talked to my dad every day, you know, saw him, you know, on Wednesdays and every other weekend, sometimes every weekend. And people would say to me things like, you don't have a dad, your dad left you guys, or your dad doesn't love you anymore and whatever. So it was just like a lot of that was hard to deal with. So I hated being at school. So I loved the time that I was off My neighborhood kids were never mean to me, like I've talked about, you know. I don't know if their parents had talks with them or whatever, but the neighborhood kids were always very nice to me. You know, when I was growing up, I remember this time we had a lot of snow. So I can remember doing like a lot of sledding in the neighborhood. I also remember like putting on our moon boots and our coats and our scarves and our mittens and just like adventuring through, trekking through the woods, you know, and walking on the ice of the creek and like breaking through. And I can just remember having snowball fights. I mean, I feel like we were outside a lot. So that's probably what I was doing this week when I was a kid. I don't remember us like, I don't, you know, doing big events or like my mom planning outings and stuff like that. I don't remember a lot of that. You know, like today I feel like my friends, my sister-in-law with the kids, my nephews, you know, and stuff, like I feel like they plan so much stuff. Like I feel like they're always going to a museum or they're always going to this event or that, you know, like Christmas fair or this. I mean, like, I feel like my sister-in-law, I mean, she's got those kids at things all the time. They're constantly going and doing things. I don't even know how she finds this stuff. They're always doing fun stuff, you know? And I mean, there was stuff when I was a kid, too. I just don't remember us going to a lot of that stuff. And if we did, it would be like my mom and I and like one of her friends and their kids or a couple friends and their kids, you know? Like, and that was like a special thing. I mean, to my mom, ordering pizza was a special thing. Like, she'd be like, do you want to have pizza tonight? And I thought we were getting, like, because, you know, I go to, like, other people's houses, and they would get, like, well, this was when I was older that I didn't, because my mom would always get, like, a Tombstone pizza. That was pizza to my mom, you know? And I think it was because my mom, like, going through the divorce, she was so scared financially of, like, she was such a penny pincher, you know? And she was so scared of, like, every cent that she spent and things like that. I've told this story on here, I think, before, but I can remember, I don't know if it exists anymore, if it's just an Indiana thing, but there used to be Hooks Drugs, which Hooks Drugs is very much like a CVS or a Walgreens or anything like that. It was like a pharmacy. It started as a pharmacy. Is it like a nationwide thing, or is it just Indiana Hooks Drugs? I don't remember. But anyway, but there was one, like, I don't know, 5 minutes from our house or whatever, and my mom had like a credit card there. And I can remember, it would have been before the divorce was final, because we would go in there, and my mom would have, like, something to buy, like, laundry detergent, but, like, every time we would go, she would buy, like, bar soap. She would say we need to get laundry detergent, but we would go in there, and it was, like, after tennis and stuff like that, and she would end up getting, like, laundry detergent, but then she'd also buy, like several things of bar soap, and then she'd also buy, like, toilet paper, paper towels. I remember at one point, like, right around the divorce, when the divorce was finalized, and I don't even remember, like, that day. Like, later I talked to my mom, and she said it was, like, devastating to her when she got the papers, and she was like, I can remember, I don't think I knew. I don't think they, like, I think I may not have even been there. I may have been at, like, my aunt's house or my dad's house. They may have, like, structured it that way. My parents were very, very good about keeping me from all that stuff, you know, when I was a kid. I mean, I've said before, like, my parents did not like each other, but they co-parented fantastically, and I'm so grateful for that, you know? Like, I see friends of mine, people that I know, not really friends of mine, but people that I know, that they, like, seek revenge on their ex through their kids, and they'll tell their kids things like, well, your dad's a bad person, or your mom's, and it's just like, why are you bringing kids into that? You know, if your kids are going to figure that out, let them figure that out on their own, by their parents' actions. Like, that's really, to me, kind of sick and twisted, that you would, if you're doing that to your kid out there, if you're pulling your kid in, I don't care how old they are, I don't care if they're 16, 17 years old, okay? If you're pulling your kid into that and putting them in the middle of that BS, like, that's totally unfair to do to your kid, right? And I can tell you, in my experience of what I've witnessed, is it pushes your kids away from you. You think you're doing something about, like, because your ex is such a nasty person, and I'm not talking about in abusive situations, okay? That's a completely different story. I'm talking about you broke up for whatever reason, okay? And you guys went different ways. And then, like, you seek vengeance on this person through your kids. Like, you use your kids to do that. Like, you are traumatizing your kids down the road. Like, I just want to make that clear. My parents were very, very good about doing that. Like, I was sharing in my Peterisms video today, I was talking about my mom and her drinking. Like, my mom was not a violent alcoholic. You know, I can remember my mom, like, on 3 or 4 occasions getting really angry at my dad. 2 or 3 occasions. 2 occasions I remember. One I wasn't there for, but I heard about later. So, my mom just wasn't that angry of a person. I mean, you know, both of my parents would kind of make snide comments here and there, but nothing that I ever really even understood, I don't think, you know? And then if I ever say anything bad about my dad, or about my mom, my dad would say, you don't speak about your mother that way. She brought you into this world. She takes care of you. You have a fantastic mother. Like, he would never let me talk bad about my mom, you know? And my mom, whenever I would say something about my dad, my mom would be like, your dad works very, very hard for us and provides a home and clothes and food, and your dad is a fantastic father. He calls you every day. You know, both of my parents were very protective of each other as parents, and they co-parented fantastically. I mean, if I had to if something happened at school, you know, not even me getting into trouble, but with things that happened like bullying, there was a couple incidents where the teachers did pull my parents in. You know, one situation in high school, my dad came alone, but other than that, usually my parents came together. If it was about grades, they came together. PTA, they were both there. You know, even after they were separated and divorced. And I'm so grateful for that, you know, because later, this is what I was going to say, later, I remember my mom saying to me that when she got the paper, the call from the attorney or whatever happened that day, that it was finalized, that was the day that it was done. She was devastated. I'm sure my mom, I don't think I was there that day, because I'm sure that my mom, whenever she got the news, was just it was binge drinking central, you know? I have to imagine that. I don't know how she would have maintained around me, and I wasn't aware. Maybe she did, and I just didn't know, but I have a feeling I probably wasn't there that day, that they knew that day was coming, and they were very protective of me over things like that. I don't know that my mom would have thought it through, but I think my dad would have said, you know, why don't we have Pete come stay with me for, you know, this weekend or these days or whatever, because he knew that it was coming, you know what I mean? Or my aunt would have said something like that, and then my mom would have even put two and two together, just oh, they wanted Peter to come stay tonight. Oh, by the way, the divorce is finalized, you know? Because I can remember my mom later when I was older, and she even, even when I was in high school, both of my parents were kind of, really protective, you know? And in high school, my stepmom started picking me up for things, from school, when I would go with them for the weekend or whatever, and then take me to my mom's house, pick up my bags, and whenever my mom was busy, take me to doctor's appointments, you know, orthodontist appointments, dentist appointments, whatever I had going on. My stepmom would pick me up a lot. And my stepmom, because by then, I think my mom and my dad really didn't get along. And so, my stepmom was kind of the buffer between both of them, because my mom... Well, let's just say that my dad dated somebody after he got separated from my mom. That is not who he ended up with, okay? So my mom did not like that woman ever in her entire life. My mom, she didn't necessarily like my stepmom when they first started dating. My stepmom's very tall, you know, very athletic, total opposite of my mom. My mom was very short, you know, and so... There were some comments that were made I was not aware of, but I found out later, back and forth. But by the time that I was in high school, my mom and my stepmom just got along really well. Not like they wanted to go have lunch with each other, but where they could communicate, you know, and my mom would, you know, my stepmom would call my mom and be like, is Pete coming over here this weekend? And what time should we pick him up? And, you know, whatever, when do you want him back? And things like that. My stepmom was really the one that arranged all that stuff when I was in high school. I mean, she was fantastic about it. And so I think that smoothed things out a lot, you know. I've told this story before. I don't know why I'm going to get emotional talking about this, but my mom refused to go into the hospital the last time. Unbeknownst to me, my stepmom was driving around in circles around the hospital because she didn't know if she should come in or not. She didn't know if it was her place. So she had had a stepfather growing up. And so, but was also just very, her dad was very involved in her life too. It was very similar to my parents. And so she called her mom and she said, I don't know if I should go in there or not. And my stepmom's mom said to her, you've been very involved in Peter's life all this time. You know his mom. You need to go in there. You're part of this. And so she did. I remember standing there. My mom wouldn't listen to anybody. She wouldn't listen to my dad. The whole thing was orchestrated to kind of it was really bad. And so my stepmom comes in and anyway, I've told the story a million times about how she held her hand to my mom's hand, and my mom's hand had no color to it because she just had no blood circulating and stuff. And she said, do you see your hand? Do you see my hand? And she said, yes. And she said, you need to go in. This is not healthy for you. And my mom looked up at me, and then she looked back at her, and then she looked at me, and she said, well, I guess if she says that I need to go in, I need to go in. And it was like nobody else could speak to her. And it's like, why? Like, out of everybody, me, my dad, and everybody, the person she listens to is my stepmom, you know? And I think that's because she trusted her. My stepmom never came in the picture and tried to take over my mom's role. She always made it very, very clear she did not want to be my mother. She was my stepmother. You know, she said to me one time, she said, you know, I'm not your friend and I'm not your mother, but I'm your stepmother, and that's a completely special, different, unique relationship that we have, you know? And she never tried to take over that role. My mom was terrified of that. My mom had friends left and right that, you know, they would get divorced, and then the kids would move in with the dad, and the stepmom would take over immediately, and even refer to them as their kids and stuff like that. And I know there's a lot of people that do that today where the parents aren't really active and stuff like that, but I think my mom was afraid of that. I think my mom was like, I don't have as much money as Peter's dad. I'm not as fun as Peter's dad. You know, I'm the parent that's always like homework and go to bed on time. And what if Peter wants to go live with him? And, you know, and then I'm not a mom anymore. And then she takes over and she's a mom. But, you know, what was interesting is my dad always, when I was growing up, and my stepmom always said I was welcome to come live there anytime that I wanted to. But my dad would always follow it up, and he would say, but I think that you need to stay with your mom because your mom loves you so much, and like, you know, whatever. Later, he would say to me things like, you know, I think it would have broken your mom's heart if you would have come live there. I never really honestly ever thought about it, you know? I just always knew that my place was with my mom. But, God, I didn't think I would talk about this tonight when I got on here to vlog, you know? But you know, like, there was always an open door policy at my dad's house. I could come there whenever I wanted to. My parents never fought about holidays. They never fought about weekends. If my mom had something planned and she wanted to go out, you know, whatever. You know, I had a lot of babysitters, fantastic babysitters when I was growing up. I had some that were not great at all when I was very, very young. But, yeah, so I had some great babysitters. But, you know, like if my mom wanted to go do something, and she would just call my dad and be like, do you want to have Pete tonight? And so I would go have dinner with my dad or do rounds with him, you know, in the hospital or whatever, you know. Or if it was a weekend, my mom wanted to like do something with some friends or whatever, she'd say, do you want to trade weekends? And my dad would say, I've taken both weekends. I don't care, you know, whatever. Holidays, they never fought over holidays, ever. I mean, if my dad was going to Florida to visit his fraternity brother, my mom was like, take him, he'll have a great time. He loves them, you know? They never fought about holidays. They never fought about birthdays. They never fought about, it was really what I wanted to do, you know? And so I think that was one of the things that really worked out so well from my parents' divorce and me growing up, was that it was never like, I don't remember, and there probably was some kind of structure to it, but I don't remember there ever being like, Peter spends every other Christmas with his mom and the in-betweens with dad. I mean, there was never any of that. There was no discussion on that, you know? I can remember the discussions being like, Aunt Kathy's having dinner on Christmas Day at such and such, or, you know, time, and we're having Christmas Eve here. You know, do you want to be part of that, or are you doing something with your dad? But by that point, it was kind of already like, so when my stepmom came into the picture, my dad and my stepmom and her dad always did like Christmas Eve mass, and they would go out to dinner somewhere before, right? And so, or I think he was Catholic, so, no, he wasn't. So he was Lutheran too. So they would go to like Christmas Eve service, and then go out to dinner after or somewhere before. That was always their Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day, they typically spent with her mom's side of the family. And so that was from a very young age. Like, I mean, I think they got married when I was 12. So I always spent holidays, you know, before with my mom and my aunt. My dad, I would be with my dad the 23rd into the 24th, and on the 23rd, we would spend Christmas and open presents. And then on the 24th, like the middle of the afternoon, my dad would bring me to my mom's house. And then I would see him maybe on the 26th or the 27th again, or something like that. We'd do Christmas before or after, but usually we did it before. And that was from a real young age. Even when my stepmom wasn't in the picture. But, you know, if I had said to my mom one year, I don't want to do Christmas with Aunt Kathy this year on Christmas Eve, like I want to be with dad, she would have been like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, babe, like, I'll miss you, but, like, no, go do that. That's completely fine. I'll see you the next day, you know? They never fought over that stuff. It was never, I'm so grateful for it. Like, I feel like I have friends of mine that just went through total hell of, like, their parents fighting over, like, and I see it today with friends of mine, and I have said some things to friends of mine that are very close, where they're like, well, he's wanting to fight me on Thanksgiving and blah, blah. I'm like, it just doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, okay, unless they're getting every holiday, you never get to spend a holiday with your kids. Like, just just relax a little bit, okay? It's really about the kid at the end of the day and their happiness. It's really not about all this with you, you know? I mean, really it isn't. Like, let's just back up for a second. I really don't have a lot of tolerance, if you want to know the truth, for parents that work so hard and choose to have kids. It stopped. I really, like I was saying, I really don't have a lot of tolerance for people that work so hard to have kids, okay? And like I said, I'm not talking about abusive situations. That's a completely different scenario, okay? I'm talking about just run-of-the-mill divorces because people can't work things out or don't work things out or whatever, right? And then you work so hard to have these kids, and I know that there's parents out there that are not happy about what I'm saying right now, but this is what I'm sharing about how I feel about things. And I really feel strongly about this. As parents that went through this, and I think were fantastic examples of how to co-parent when you don't even live in the same home and you don't even like each other, okay? Don't like each other at all, you know? I really take issue, and I have very little tolerance for parents that that work so hard to have kids and take such pride in being great parents, but then they go through a divorce or a separation and they use those kids that they think they're fantastic parents of or have worked so hard to have them or raise them and weaponize their kids against their ex. Like, it's sick to me. It really is. You know, I don't get involved in how my kids or how my parents raise their kids, or my parents raise their kids, how my friends raise their kids and stuff like that. I just don't, you know? My brother and sister-in-law are unbelievably fantastic parents. Unbelievably. And you can tell. Carlitos and Sebastian are two of the neatest kids in the entire world, you know? And one of the things that they've really, like, pushed hard and unified is Carlitos being very protective of Sebastian. They're best friends, you know? And there's a pretty big age gap there, you know? And not a huge age gap, but, you know, I mean, a couple of years, you know, 3 or 4 years, I think 4 years. So, yeah, because Sebastian's 7, he'll be 8, and Carlitos is 11. So 3 or 4 years. Enough that, you know, their friend groups are different and things like that. And they don't, like, of course they argue and it's, you know, brothers and stuff like that. But I don't know, Carlitos and Liliana are just unbelievably fantastic parents, you know? And they think it through. It's like a lot about thinking it through. Not just like, what should we sign our kid up for? You know, they do all that too. It's not just about that, right? Like, it's about, like, who do we want our kids to be? What values do we want to instill in them? Like, I feel like we don't do a lot of that today in our society, you know? This is where, like, when people are like, oh, you guys should have kids, you'd be such great dads. There's so much more that goes into it than that, right? Okay, than making just a cute family picture. There's so much more that goes into it, you know? And in all honesty, the reason why I never really wanted to be a parent that deeply is because I do not want my life consumed with that. Because it is the most important job on the face of the earth, is to be a parent. And so, you know, I don't really get involved in my friends and their parenting, and unless I see something that really bothers me, and then I'm just like, hey, look, like, listen, I love you, like, I'm not okay with this, you know? Like, I've had a couple, I would say, in the last 20 years where I've heard a friend of mine talk to their kid in a way that I'm just like, you need to, like, listen, you need to pull it together and go into another room, because this is not how you talk to your child. You know, I have to say, on all those incidences, I can't remember one where the person told me to get the F out of their house or something like that. They looked at me and they just started crying. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, this is, you know? And what it really is that there's something so, they're so stressed out and going through stuff that they can't handle it, right? And they're with their kids all the time. I get all that. Like, parenting is a hard job. I wish, like, so many people, when Alex and I do Q&As together, are always like, you guys would make such great kids. I wish people thought through it as much as we have, you know? I mean, Alex knew from the get-go that he didn't want kids. I kind of always said, like, if my partner wanted kids, I would have them, you know? But I wish people thought through it. Not just like, oh, it'd be so much fun to be a parent, you know? But, like, really all the work that goes into it to raise an amazing human being, you know? I mean, or just somebody that can actually pay rent and work a full-time job and, like, be a good human being, you know, to people, and be a good husband, a good wife, you know, a good friend. Like, it takes a lot of work to do that, you know? I'm a big believer that it takes a village to raise a child. It's not just the parents. It's the siblings and the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents and the friends of the family and the teachers. I'm blessed that on some level I had the majority of that. I didn't have a lot of teachers, you know, but I had lots of friends of family that, you know, if I said something out of line, my mom's friends would have looked at me and said, you don't speak to your mother that way. Like, we don't do that today. We're too afraid to overstep boundaries, you know? My Aunt Kathy would have put me in my space or my place that quick if I would have spoken poorly about my mom or my dad, you know? And I do notice that a lot in the Latino culture. Like, maybe it's just my husband's family. I don't know. But, like, Alex's mom, you know, his aunt, Alex, whatever. Like, if the kids misbehave, they say something to them. They're like, that's not cool, you know, or whatever. Like, hey, you need to, this is not okay, right? And there's just, I don't know. And maybe that's just families, you know, and I came from a small family, but I'm blessed that I had the family that I had around me and the friends the family that I had, you know. I grew up with, like, my mom's friend, Susie, that I call my, you know, Aunt Susie. She says Mama Susie sometimes, that, you know, was my mom's best friend her entire life. Like, when I look at her and this one other sorority sister of my mom's that literally was there, she got divorced the same time that my mom did. She's the one that I talk about where it really hurt me, because when the nurse in the hospital asked her who she was and how she knew my mom, she said we were divorced mothers together. And their friendship was so much deeper than that. But that woman was going through such hell in her life, you know, at that time, and had been for 20 years. And I think that with her ex-husband, I mean, her ex-husband is a perfect example of, yeah, the kids came and lived with her, and the stepmom called her the mom, or called them their kids. And I can remember my mom talking about their high school graduation, and she went to their high school graduation with her friend, and she walked in, and literally it was all him, his family, his wife, front row, everything, you know, for that. And my mom just was like, I don't think I could deal with that if that was your situation. My dad and my stepmom never did that. They were always so courteous of my mom. They always acted as if my mom came first, that she was the most important person to me, you know, and respected that always. But, you know, I don't know, like, my mom's friend was the one that gave me the very first copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, took us to the play. You know, she instilled a lot of values and, you know, morals in me. She had no problem saying to me things like, we don't use that language, or, you know, like, we don't speak to people with that tone or whatever. I was a real quiet kid, so it wasn't a lot of that, but I would hear her say that to other people, you know, and our other kids that, you know, when we were around or whatever. I'm just so grateful for her and Susie, like, for just, you know, I don't know. I just feel like, and also how Susie raised her daughters, because, you know, she would bring her daughters when they came to visit. Well, a couple years her oldest daughter came, and I was close with her, but I'm really close with her youngest daughter because we're 7 days apart. And so when she would come in the summers with Susie, like, how she interacted with her. I mean, I can remember this one summer. I don't know, this cracks me up, okay, to this day. I still give Susie a hard time about this. So we were shopping. It was school clothes shopping. They'd always come in August. I think we were at the time like 8th grade or something, going into 8th grade or something like that. So Susie's daughter was a little bit smarter than me. She graduated 7 years, or she was 7 days older than me, and she graduated #1 in her class and went to Princeton. I didn't. But we're still real close today. I love her. And so I can remember we were shopping, school clothes shopping, and her daughter wanted this jean skirt, okay? And the jean skirt was like, it came like literally like this far above her knees. And Susie was like, no. And Susie is not a Puritan, okay, at all. Like, I mean, she's, you know, I mean, she's not wild by any means, but she's fashionable and, you know, loves clothes and fashion and stuff like that. She was like, no, your jean skirt needs to go below your knees. I can remember it was like, and her daughter would not talk back to her, right? And I remember we were in this store, and she was like, Mom, like, and she didn't say it loud or anything, and she said, all the girls are having their jean, I mean, we're talking like literally like an inch or two above their knee. I mean, not like it wasn't risque at all, right? And she was like, Mom, but all the girls are wearing their jean skirts above their knees now. And she said it real sweet. I'll never forget, Susie looked at her and she was like, we are not discussing this again. You can get the jean skirt that I showed you, or there will be no jean skirt. So she got the jean skirt that Susie picked out for her. And that was just it. And I can remember, like, through that, I learned that's how you speak to your parents. That's how you speak to elders. Because I called them elders when I was growing up, people that were older than me, you know? And there were only specific people when I was growing up that I was allowed to call by their first names, you know? Like, even my dad's partner and his wife for the first couple years well, I mean, I was real young, you know? My dad's partner, as far as his business partner, I would call them, like, Dr. So-and-so, and then by her last name. And then right away, they were like, call us by our first names. And they were like aunts and uncles to me. You know, that was like one of my mom's very dear friends, was his wife, her whole life, even after they got divorced. Their whole life, and even after they moved out of state and stuff like that, and he retired, because he was about 10 or 15 years older than my dad. So, I always called them by their first names. Susie I always called by her first names. The other friend I always called by her first name. Other than that, like even my dad's fraternity brother that lived in Florida, when we would go down there, I would call them Mr. and Mrs. All my neighbors I called Mr. and Mrs. Always. You know, if they were doctors, because my dad worked with a lot of doctors, always called them doctor. Always. You know, and that was expected. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of that has been lost, and it's like, I'm grateful that I had people. I may not have loved it at the time, but I'm grateful that I had adults, not just my parents, that were, because my parents didn't see everything, that were willing to tell me that I didn't need to speak a certain way or be more respectful or whatever, you know? Like, I think we're so afraid to do that today. We're so afraid. But, you know, like I was saying, I've said to a couple of my friends through the years, like, okay, like I watch Real Housewives of Miami, okay? Lisa Hochstein, she talks about her ex-husband Lenny, or they're going through a divorce a lot, right? Sometimes the kids are 10 feet away. I've said with friends of mine before, like the kids can be like, we can be sitting on the patio and they're like playing in the yard, and they'll be like, oh my god, he is such an asshole, I'm so tired of him, I'm like, not out here please, not in front of your kids. They can't hear me. I don't care. They might, okay? And you don't know what they're retaining. Because on the few occasions that my parents did say things, I can still remember to this, I can't snap tonight. I can still remember to this day what they said. And I'm literally, for each parent, can count on less than 3 digits, okay? What they said over the span of 5 to 18, 20, you know? So I don't like that when people talk about their exes or whatever in front of their kids, you know? I don't think it's necessary. And, you know, in those occasions, it's interesting because my friends will be like, I guess maybe I wasn't aware of that or whatever. I've never had anybody, I don't say it in like an attacking way. I don't think that I'm like I have it all figured out. I don't have kids. I don't know. You know, I don't claim to be any great thing. I mean, I think that I'm so aware of what goes into, okay, this is a perfect example. I can remember when Carlos and Liliana took Alex's mom and the kids to Disney World, okay? And they were there for like 10 days. Rented a house, I mean, they didn't just do Disney World, they did like everything in Orlando, right? And I remember they came back and we were talking about some trip that they were going to go on or whatever. I think we were talking about going out to San Diego. This is like years ago. To go out to San Diego to visit Fufu and Jesse, like when they had first moved out there. And I said, well, that would be a great couples trip for the 4 of us to go on or something like that. And Carlos said to me, he was like, no, dude, like we're going to take the kids. And I was like, don't you guys ever like want to just take a trip, just the 2 of you? And he was like, why would we not take the kids if we can go on a trip? We can still get, you know, private time because, you know, whatever, like Alex, their mom always goes with them. And so, but why would we not go, you know, like, and take the kids and enjoy that time while we have them here, you know? And I can remember thinking that, and I thought, like, that is a fantastic point of view, right? I mean, I think parents need time alone, but they do date nights, they go out and do stuff, you know, whatever. Every year he plays, you know, baseball, and he introduced me to this guy the other day, 3 times that played, some Venezuelan guy that lives here in Indianapolis, but he played for the Royals or something, I don't know, some second string, he was telling me all about it, I don't know, he is so into baseball, but he plays for like some national like league or something like that, Carlos does, and so every year they go to Puerto Rico, they love Puerto Rico. And so every year they go there because this is like where the national game, the game is and whatever. And they do that alone, right? So they do some trips alone. But I can remember thinking to myself at that point, like, that is such a fantastic perspective, a point of view, to be like, I want to spend as much time with my kids while they're young and as I can while they're still home, because it flies by like that quick. Like, I can remember being in high school, my mom be like, it feels like it was just yesterday that you were 4, right? So I love that he's like that, you know, and that Liliana's like that as well. They're such unbelievable, they're just such great parents, they are, you know? But the next thought that I thought was, which is so funny because in recovery we say first thought bad, second thought good. No, but the second thought that I had was, And that's why I'm not a parent, see, because I like to take vacations by myself. I like to go and run around and have adult conversations. I mean, my mom, when I was growing up, like if her friends were over and they were having a glass of wine or a martini or whatever they were drinking in the library, she would shut the doors and she'd say, we're having an adult time here. You need to go watch TV or read a book or something like that. We're having an adult time. Like, you don't need to be part of this conversation. This is an adult conversation. She would make it very clear to me, you know? Because I think that's important. But as an adult, you know, and then this also translates to a lot of people that like, oh, you hate kids. It's not that at all. It's just that I like adult time too. I like to stay up late. I like to watch TV and things like that. I don't have it in me to, I mean, I have so many friends of mine, like, my friend Nikki is such a fantastic mother, and you know, we'll text at night and stuff like that, and she'll be like, you know, like, so, like, she's got 3 sons, so she's like, and she got a really young one. She's got a toddler. And so she's like, you know, like trying to get him to go to sleep. He's not tired, blah, 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 whatever. The other one's playing video games. The other one's doing this. And so she waits till they all 3 go to sleep. She also gets them up early for school and stuff like that, right? Her husband helps out a lot too. But she's like, you know, I can't wait to watch Vanderpump Rules or, you know, Salt Lake City or something. And she's like, but she literally has like 2 hours because of that. And she always wanted to be a mom, and she's a fantastic mom, you know, and I'm proud of her. I'm proud of my friend Tanya. I'm proud of my cousin Caroline. I have so many friends of mine and family members of mine that are fantastic. Carlos and Liliana, all of them. I'm so proud of them, right? It's a job. It is a full-time job. I don't want that job. You know, I don't want that job. I don't want to be the parent that is so selfish that I'm like, we're going to get a sitter 4 times a week because I want to go out to dinner and run to Meijer with my friend Tanya Jean, and I want to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning to watch TV shows and all this kind of stuff. So, you know what? I'm going to put you to bed, and then you need to just, I don't want that. You know, I grew up having my mom read books to me, having my dad read books to me, spending time playing games. Like, if I were going to have kids, that would be the parent that I would want to be. I don't want to be that parent. You know? So I appreciate it when people say to me that we would make such great dads. I appreciate it. But in all honesty, I probably wouldn't because of that, you know? Because I would want to be the parent. I've always known this about myself. That was, lived in a neighborhood where there were a lot of kids that they, you know, could play with and, you know, hang out with and whatever. I'd want to be very involved in school, very involved in sports or arts or, you know, music and things like that. Very involved in all of that stuff, you know? And in all honesty, it's not my dream enough. It's never been my dream enough to do that. Because that would be the purpose of my life. And in all honesty, I think that if you're going to be a parent, you should really think that through. I think a lot of people have kids because it looks perfect in a picture, or they think that that's the thing they have to do to have a family or to save a marriage or whatever. They don't really think it through, you know? And I wish more people did. I really do. And I'm not dogging parents. I know being a parent is an unbelievably difficult job. I get it, right? But maybe deep down inside, what you need to ask yourself is, do I really want to be a parent? Maybe the answer is no. I have a lot of friends of mine that have chosen not to have parents. I mean, Melissa and Jason and Alex and I are not the only people that I know that chose not to have kids, you know? Melissa is, I mean, every one of Melissa's friends that have kids, she is like the aunt, the close aunt too, you know? Picks them up from school, you know? Has cookie decorating parties for just the kids and stuff. I mean, Melissa is so fantastic with kids, you know? She didn't want kids. That was a decision that they made together. But she's fantastic. And so there's always this thing, it's like, well, if you don't, you know, then you don't really like, it's nothing about, you know, that. It's nothing about that. It's about knowing what kind of parent that I would be or need to be inside. And I don't want to be that. And I'm glad that I thought it through enough, you know? Because I have met my fair share of irresponsible parents. I loved my mom, you know? I don't know that she was a fantastic mom at times. But I don't know that she was prepared in her own addiction to be a parent. I don't know that she thought that through, you know? I found out later that it was really my dad that wanted kids. It really wasn't even my mom. My mom didn't even want kids that bad. And then, you know, later in life, it turned out that, you know, she was like, you're the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I appreciate that, and that means a lot to me, and I love my mom, and I'm not dogging her. I don't know that she was well equipped to be a parent when she became a parent. I think that's the other thing, like, you know, I can remember my mom saying to a counselor one time, if you gave me a book with pages 1 through 100 that said your child will turn out perfect, I would read that book and do everything that said it. I don't know many parents that wouldn't. Well, I do know several parents that wouldn't read that book. But my mom was like, I would read that book. A lot of parents would read that book, obviously, because you want your child to turn out well, right? But I mean, I can remember my mom also saying to me, it's like when you have a child, you don't know what you're doing. You know, even if everybody in the world tells you what to do, every child's different, every parenting style is different, everything's different. It's stressful. You don't know what you're doing. It's overwhelming, you know? And so I think about that and I think, yeah, I'm not signing up for that. But then it immediately goes to people that they think you don't like their kids, that you don't like kids, that you don't want anything to do with. It's not about that at all. I love my nephews. I'm a fantastic uncle, but then I can hand them over at the end of the night, you know? I don't have to like be, you know, taking care of them and all that kind of stuff, you know? I don't want that responsibility. I don't, and there's a lot of responsibility that goes through it, and I feel so blessed that even my mother, struggling as a parent at times, that I had the mother that I had, and I'm so grateful that I had the father that I had, and I have the father that I have, you know, and I had the stepmother that I had, because I'm so grateful for that, you know. Not to say that they didn't have their mistakes or their, you know, troubles along the way. They're human beings, you know. I can remember like the first time I ever kind of looked at my dad. I think it was my dad that said this to me. It might have been my mom that said it to me when I was talking to her about my dad, but I don't remember. But anyway, I can remember like the first time that I saw like my dad, like not in this like looking up to him as this idol kind of way. And I can remember one of them said to me something about feet of clay. You know, that we look at our parents as like these idols, but once we grow up, we realize, and this is really what Go Set a Watchman is by Harper Lee, which was supposedly the sequel, but then the original to Kill a Mockingbird, is that she really sees Atticus Finch with feet of clay, that she realizes he's human, like everybody else, you know? He's not this fantastical god that she made him out to be in her life, you know? And that's really hard. That's really hard to struggle with, you know? That you realize one day that your parents are just trying to get by like everybody else. But you don't have to weaponize your kids against your ex, and you don't have to take it out on your kids, and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, so every time we do a Q&A, we always get that question, why don't you guys want to have kids? You'd be such great dads. Well, that's why, right there. It's because I take that job so seriously of being a parent. I take it so seriously that when I acknowledge somebody's parent, okay, when I acknowledge their parenting style in a video, listen up, because I mean it, okay? Because that's a parent that I respect. So, for me, I take that job so seriously that I know that I'm not equipped for that job. That I wouldn't want that job or what goes along with it, you know? I think you need to know in your life what roads are not for you. You know what I'm saying? And like maybe, I wouldn't want to do the work. I wouldn't want to do all that kind of stuff. I think I could do it, but I wouldn't want to do it, and I wouldn't enjoy doing it. And I wouldn't want to become resentful because I chose to be a parent, you know? I don't know. You know, several years ago, I felt like we still live in a world where the people are not okay with two gay dads as kids, as having kids and stuff like that. I feel like we're in a different world today. It depends on what part of the world you live in and the people that you surround yourself with. But I don't think that my kids, if I had them, would struggle with going to school and being bullied for that. I have friends of mine that are, gay couples and lesbian couples that have kids, and their kids don't really suffer from that, but they're very, but then their kids go to private schools, right? Like, where they're, like, very liberal-minded. And so it's like, okay, they're paying, $30,000 a year for their 6-year-old to go to first grade. I'm like, I don't have that kind of money, to be a parent. And then they're very involved in getting their kids involved in sports and music and art and all these things for the well-rounded kids, and they've got camps all summer. I'm like, oh my God, like, seriously? For you parents out there that do all that stuff, I highly respect you. I highly respect you. Because it is the most, it is the most important job in the entire world. And I think the second to that is teachers, period, in the story. Good teachers. Because there's a lot of fantastic teachers out there. I had 1, 2, 3 maybe growing up that really impacted me in a really powerful way. The rest of them were shit, in all honesty, they were, That's just how it was. They didn't really care. They bitched and moaned about being teachers. They didn't want to be teachers. They complained all the time. Their jobs were so tough and whatever. I know teachers' jobs are tough, right? Don't take it out on your students. Teachers have one of the most important jobs in the entire world because you're forming our future, And I met my fair share of fantastic teachers. And I've met my fair share of shit teachers, too. Just like I've met my fair share of fantastic parents. I have to tell you, in all honesty, I've met an overwhelming amount today of fantastic teachers. An overwhelming amount of fantastic parents today, you know? I don't even know how I got on that, but... yeah, I'm grateful for the parents that I had. They weren't perfect. They never claimed to be perfect. They made a lot of mistakes. I think sometimes my parents' mistakes are part of what formed me into who I am today. But I think they also were willing to take accountability and try to... I mean, before I was even in a 12-step program, my parents were teaching me how to take accountability and clean up the wreckage of your past, you know, and how to make amends. They were doing that to me long before I ever got into a 12-step program and got sober. You know, it's like, I love the book, or it's like Everything I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten or whatever. And it talks, there's a story in there, it talks about, like, everything we needed to know about the world, we learned before we got on the steps for kindergarten. You know, I didn't take the bus to kindergarten. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about? Like, everything we ever needed to know about the world, we learned before we walked into kindergarten or first grade that first day. You don't steal from people. You don't steal cookies from the cookie jar, you know? When you hurt somebody's feelings, you say, I'm sorry. I mean, it's like everything we learned before then, right? If you had good parents. I had good parents. I'm thankful for it. They're not perfect. They weren't perfect. They're not perfect. They never claimed to be. I think it's part of it for me is that they admitted their faults, you know? I had a lot of really honest conversations with my parents through the years where they owned a lot of shit, you know? Things that they weren't proud of. I think that even showed me what it's like to be a person of character today. I'm extremely grateful for the parents and the stepmother that I had, you know? And for the family that I had, my aunt, my uncle, and my family friends. I mean, they're all a huge part of my story, you know, of who I am today. I don't even know how I got in this conversation, so listen, Linda, this vlog has gone long enough, so I'm gonna go inside and start getting it uploaded. What time is it now? Oh my lord, it's 9:18. If I've been filming almost exactly an hour, I got to get off here now and get this vlog up, or it's gonna take 4 hours to get up. It probably will anyway. And then I'll be posting it after midnight. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna get off here now. And yeah, so I'm just gonna do a real short outro. I love you guys so much. I hope you're having a magically amazing Thursday. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Be kind to one another. People deserve it. People need it. You never know when you see somebody what they're going through, and they might be going through the most difficult day of their entire life, you know? So let's spread some love out there and some peace and some serenity and kindness, all right? I love you guys so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.